How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. And it looks like, well, last night a lot of discussion came out regarding Xbox going third party. We had Tim Stewart, the Xbox Chief Financial Officer, come out and make a statement or an interview regarding, the new strategies that are going on within Xbox. And this has caused quite a bit of stir. Here, I'm just going to be giving my opinion on this. We'll discuss it later on today in, our usual Friday presentation, our stream that we have over at the Chaos Lounge. But, I think there's quite a bit to unpack here. There's definitely more to this than there is. And honestly, I do feel like at this point, Microsoft and Phil need to come out. But the problem right now with that is that, Bobby Kotick is still over at Activision Blizzard. I'm assuming they're waiting for that transition to completely take place before they reveal their strategies, and that's probably going to be in the next showcase. We may get a few drops here at the Game Awards on December the 7th, but it's unlikely that we're going to hear anything concrete coming from Camp Xbox. But people have got a right to be slightly worried, a little bit confused, and somewhat miffed, because at the end of the day, people have put their faith, their investment into the Xbox brand, and if the console is being diminished, well, this could have negative implications. Now, of course, Microsoft has stopped reporting on, Game Pass numbers, Xbox Live numbers, and of course console numbers for quite some time. They don't even report on sales. Now, in general, people who don't report on sales are the ones that aren't happy with what they're seeing. If you look at the numbers that they are happy with the MAUs, well, they're shouting those from the rooftop. If you put two and two together, it doesn't take a genius to work out. Now, I know a lot of people aren't going to be happy to hear this because it's, talking negative in a sense about the brand that they love, about the brand I like. At the end of the day, no one wants to see the Xbox brand go away. But we are getting an increased number of people turning around and saying that they can't wait for the Xbox brand to die. They can't wait for Microsoft to get out of the console business. And this is as dumb as you can humanly get. This is one of the dumbest takes that you can possibly make in the gaming industry. If Microsoft left today, or if Sony left the industry today, the catastrophic after effects that would be felt across the industry would be tantalizingly huge. It's enough to make your head jam, right? People don't understand the ramifications of what it actually means for one company to control everything, and that is the games industry. Sure, you could probably say that then Tencent will come along and try to make a console, but at that point, they're going to have to take all of their games that they've got investment in or they have a majority stake in and pull it away from the PlayStation platform in order to remotely stand a chance. How is that any different to what Microsoft's supposedly doing, even though they're actually not? Sure, they've moved a couple of games off, but the big titles like Call of Duty, Diablo, Overwatch, they will remain on PlayStation. So actually wanting one of the two to actually leave the industry and be gone is a really, really bad take. Is a really bad thing. I mean, right now, everyone's crying that people are charging £70 for a game. What happens if Sony's the only one there and they go, right, £120 a game? You don't like it? Tough. There is no competition. We're not going to put effort into our games anymore because you know what? There's no real need to. There's no competition. You saw rise to PlayStation Extras, Essentials, and Premium because of Game Pass. Competition did that. You've seen Sony maintain that high level standard, within the industry because of competition. You've seen Microsoft trying to get better, trying to invest more, trying to claw back market share because of competition. But if you remove competition, why is there a need to do any of that? Why is there a need to deliver AAA or quadruple games? At the end of the day, you as a consumer no longer have a choice. There's no competition. You can't go to X platform or Y platform. At the end of the day, that's the best you're going to get. And that will pass on and rub off to PC as well. It's going to hurt PC in the long run. So it's a really weird take that I keep seeing online, that people keep saying, oh, I wish Xbox would just leave the industry, or I wish PlayStation would leave the industry. No. Competition is good. You need competition. But you know what else you need to do? You need to hit that like button right now and that subscribe if you have yet to do so. We are going to do another 500 like challenge, so hopefully you can hit that in this video because it is an important topic. Of course, if you are want to support the channel further, you can do that through my Patreon, YouTube membership, or my super thanks underneath the video right now. Of course, subscribing and liking the video is an easy way and a free way to help the channel grow. But on with the video. So over here we can see Cobrel got a couple of snippets from the interview. And it says, Tim Stewart, Xbox Chief Financial Officer, during a Wells Fargo investor conference, I do feel the messaging here is just all over the place, he says. Xbox's mission is to bring first-party experience and subscription services to every screen that can play a game, including PlayStation and Nintendo. Now, this has been Phil Spencer's goal for ages. Of course, what this means is if it goes on to PlayStation and Nintendo, they're just going to make a hell of a lot more money, right? That's the idea. But the reality is, why would Sony allow the Game Pass app to go onto PlayStation? It doesn't make any sense because at that point they will be losing a lot of money. Sure, they'll get 30% of every sale, but they're losing the 70, Sure, they'll get a percentage, I guess, from the actual sale. Are they going to get a sale? I mean, it's just a subscription, right? The rest of the games are free, so they're only going to get 10% of £3. Right? They're not making the money that they would make off a high profile selling game like say Final Fantasy 16, which sold 3 million units. So at the end of the day, it doesn't make any financial sense for Sony to do this. Now Nintendo, on the other hand, is a weird kind of bracket. They could potentially utilize this and have cloud gaming on their platform through Game Pass, and I think that could actually work considering, how weak the Nintendo Switch is. But will they need it when it comes to the Switch too? So, when it comes to the PlayStation, that statement that he wants it on there, I think he's just saying that because he just wants to remain the good guy, the pro-consumer guy, the guy that wants everyone to game. After all, his motto is, when everyone plays, we win. And that kind of fits in with this, but the reality is it's never going to happen. And he says, no, Microsoft wants to sell Xbox consoles, but at the same time, they somehow also want to be a third-party publisher. They kind of already are a third-party publisher. You're seeing games like Minecraft, Elder Scrolls, Overwatch, Call of Duty, Diablo, among other games that are on multiple platforms. But those games are service games, and it makes sense for service games to be on multiple platforms. But for single-player exclusives, like he said with the likes of the Professor Starfield, we're likely going to see Blizzard's Oddworld game, whatever it's called, that's also a single-player game that's likely going to be exclusive to the Xbox and PC ecosystem as well. That probably won't go to PlayStation either. But the service games make sense, and I guess that's what he's talking about here. But the fact that the Xbox console itself is selling less over time is a problem, because if there's no incentive for publishers to release their games on Xbox platform because they just don't have enough of a market share, they'll start skipping. And then this becomes a slippery slope. Now, we spoke about this previously. I did record it as a video, but I didn't release it because there was a lot of mistakes in there, a lot of issues in there, and I decided not to release that video. But it's worth noting. He explains that the move to Game Pass Core from Xbox Live Gold was motivated by the idea that paying for multiplayer feels antiquated. So they got the right idea that paying for multiplayer feels antiquated, and as a result, they created a new tier where you are paying for multiplayer all right. So this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Show me a company out, like Microsoft right now has about 44 billion Game Pass subscribers. We know this through the leaked documents that are now no longer available. It was listed in there on how much they had. It was a split between Game Pass PC, and Game Pass Ultimate. Now, if we take that into consideration and just charge as a flat fee £60 for each of those, right? Because at the end of the day, no matter how you look at it, if you just get the Game Pass on its own or the Game Pass Ultimate, it's going to be more than £60, right? Because Game Pass on its own, I think, is like £7. So that's already 7 times 12 is more than 60. And Game Pass Ultimate is £11, so 11 times 12 is more than 60. So I'm going base level here, assuming all of those 44 million are subscribed to Game Pass Core only. That is £2.64 billion that they would be throwing away, right? It's not going to happen. No, like what Tim Stewart here is saying doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I think he probably had 1-2 martinis when he made this speech, because, you know, mathematically what he's saying doesn't add up. Show me a company out there that would throw away $2.64 billion minimum. Show me one company out there that would do that a year. Just show me one that would be willing to throw away £2.64 billion. We're talking roughly about $4 billion here, right? There is no company in their right mind that's going to do that. So what he's saying here, I have no idea. It just sounds like he's drunk at this point. Then he says, we need consumer brands at Microsoft that are meaningful. And as Cobra rightly says, Xbox is that meaningful brand to the consumer. It is what their loyalty is. They don't need to look elsewhere for that brand. Everything else around it, the ecosystem, is additional to the Xbox brand. The fact that the games are available on PC Game Pass is the brand. The fact that it's available on xCloud is the brand. The fact that they had to, distribute it out even further because of the CMA probably hurt their image, probably put a few spanners in the works. But then again, that's for 10, 15 years? They're building a war chest. They're not done buying publishers. They're going to buy more. And when that 10, 15 years is up, and remember, I've repeatedly said this, that these consoles won't be around forever. I think we've got maybe 1 or 2 generations in us at most before the transition to cloud and full digital is there, right? I just don't think the consoles are going to be a thing in 15 years' time. And this, coincides with that timeline. You've got the contracts that are set in place by the CMA, which are there right now, right? You can't break them. You've got the Ubisoft contract, the CMA contract, you've got the EU contract regulators. So all of these companies need their games for the next 10, 15 years. Sony is trying to barter a 15-year contract, but at the end of the day, it's there, right? So Microsoft's hands are pretty much shackled for the next 10, 15 years. So what they're doing now is setting up a kind of a roadmap for themselves of where they want to be when those shackles come off. And what that is they assume in their heads, and it's a good assumption, that in 15 years' time, that's a long time, by the way, in the tech industry, cloud gaming will be the norm. Internet for everyone will be around 1 gigabit at the very least. How we've got now with 50 meg, 100 meg for some areas that are the norm. By 15 years' time, 1 gig should be the absolute minimum norm. Infrastructure should be much better. Technology will have advanced. Cloud gaming will be at the center of everything. They'll be built into your TVs. They already are built into your TVs, but they'll just be better experiences. You won't need a set-top box anymore. At least that's the vision I see, and I can see Microsoft is seeing that same vision. So that's where they're going. Now, with regards to the mobile side, that's huge, right? They're looking to open up their own store. Now, how are they going to get that onto the actual, the Apple iPhone, the Google Android systems, Samsung? It's going to be difficult. I mean, I can see them getting it onto Samsung. They've got a good relationship with Samsung. But at this point, they're going to need their own Microsoft phone, their own device to enter the market. And it's going to have to do a hell of a lot better than Nokia and actually offer devices. Now, as we know, Microsoft has kind of made a full transition into Android anyway. They've got a whole Android skin, and that's replaced a lot of stuff. You can actually have your Android phone become a Windows phone, essentially, with the new Microsoft skin that they have, the theme layout, and it gives you access to all your 365 stuff. So I suspect that they're going to go down that route with the Android and just put their own UI on top. That doesn't mean they can't put a Windows Store on there. They absolutely can. And that is how I think they'll do it. But they're going to need to make sure that all the apps that are available on Android and the ones that are, not exclusive to Apple are going to be available on the Windows Store to make sure that people that want to make that transition will be seamless. The games that they want to play have to be on there. And maybe they'll keep a couple of those mobile games that are within the Bethesda, the Activision Blizzard, exclusive to the Microsoft Store. They can do that. It's within their right. But this whole notion that is Microsoft going third party, I think Tim Stewart coming out and making this statement, this speech, was completely stupid. It was beyond stupid. But it's no secret that they're not shouting console sales from the rooftops, because they are down year on year. And this ABK deal that came along has hurt them. It's hurt them a lot. It's hurt them because they had to make themselves look as weak as possible in order to get the judge and everyone else to push it through. They had to remain weak and in third place to push it through, but they kind of dropped down a little too far. And now they have to claw their way back up. But to act like the console isn't important, the console should be your central point of focus, and everything else should come after that. Otherwise, the question then gets asked, and right now is being rightfully asked in, the social spaces, why do you want to own an Xbox if they're going to put Game Pass on Nintendo and PlayStation? I don't want that to happen, right? I want the Xbox brand to live. I want Xbox to fight back. I want them to stand on their own 2 feet and show the world that they mean business. They've got the capability to do that. They need to win the consumers back. And having, exclusivity will do that. Now, we discussed this in my previous video where I said exclusivity, and a lot of PC gamers got upset, rightfully so, because they're enjoying good life right now. But timed exclusivity would fix that. I know you don't like to hear it, but that's the reality of it. Certain games that are third party being timed exclusive would fix that. It would garner people across. Not PC gamers. They're as stubborn as anything. They won't even use the Epic Game Store. They'd rather wait 2 years. So I don't expect anything from the PC community because I haven't seen anyone as stubborn as them. Even having not arguments, but discussions with them, it's crazy, right? But I get their mindset as well. They've been in this one way for a long time. They don't want change. They just want everything on Steam. They want that monopoly. They encourage monopoly. They support monopoly. And yet when they see monopoly elsewhere, they are totally against it. But, I think Phil Spencer needs to come out and make a statement. I think Phil Spencer needs to come out. We won't see it this year. We'll probably see it next year. But I think he needs to come out and talk about where this is going, why things are the way they are, and what their plan is for Xbox. I know he's not going to come out and say, hey, we're giving up on the Xbox console. See ya! I don't expect him to say that. And even if that was the case, he's not going to say that because that would just tank the Xbox brand entirely from that moment. Just look at other games that are out there. The moment they announce that they're shutting the servers, player numbers go from whatever it is down to 1 or 2. It's just a thing, right? But at the end of the day, it needs sorting. It needs fixing, and it needs them to come out and actually make these points, make these reassurances that they are in this for the long haul. And, if the plan is in 15 years to start transitioning from hardware to software entirely, which makes sense with the way everything is going in the world, cloud is going to be mainstream. I mean, I use GeForce now more than I use my PC for gaming because it works beautifully well. My internet can handle it. I've got zero latency and it just works. I use Xbox Cloud also. For me, I know other people are having problems. I don't have any problems with it. It just works. It's great. I love it. Cloud gaming for me has always been good. Well, maybe not right at the beginning, but for the past year or so, it has been great. I even had Stadia, which worked beautifully well for me. I had no problems at all. No latency issues at all. So cloud gaming for some people is already there, but for others it's not. And that 10-15 years is the time it's going to take to make sure those infrastructures are set up. I don't know. I can see where Microsoft wants to go eventually, but what Tim Stewart coming out and making these sorts of statements just doesn't make sense. It almost just feels like he's had 1-2 martinis, 1-2 vodkas, he's drunk, and is just throwing words out. I'm pretty sure inside HQ right now, there is a lot of people questioning him. Why would you make these statements? It doesn't make sense. I mean, this one over here, where he explains how the move to Game Pass Core from Xbox Live was a move motivated by the idea that paying for multiplayer feels antiquated. Yet, the whole purpose of that was just to get rid of Games Live Gold and inflate Game Pass numbers. It's still the same deal. It's still the same Xbox Live Gold, and they just took away games with gold and added like 25 or 30 games that you can play as standard. So even the fact that he's saying that just clearly shows that he has no clue what he's talking about. And yeah, it's weird. But I will go back to my original point when I say people that want Microsoft to go out of business, people that want PlayStation to go out of business, you do not understand the implications, the catastrophic implications that would have on you as a consumer. Competition will be gone. A monopoly will arise. Any other party trying to come in at that point will most likely fail unless they have some form of exclusivity over multiple big profile games. And then that will just create even more drama and more divide and more issues. What we have right now with the two-horse race, I'm not including Nintendo because Nintendo is their own brand, right? I mean, their own breed, their own beast. They're just off in the distance doing what they want, releasing 15, 20 games a year, and they are selling through the bazooka, right? They're just doing their own thing, and they're loving it. Nothing is in competition with Nintendo. They're in competition with themselves. But in the current climate that we have right now, if a third party wanted to come in, I think they could probably sneak in and try and make an impact. But once you hand the reins and create that monopoly, you get rid of competition. You get rid of any real desire to push creativity. You get rid of standardized consumer pricing. I mean, do you think these publishers wouldn't increase the price of games if they had the chance? Take-Two already want to charge £100 to £200 for Grand Theft Auto. They want to charge it based on the hour. These discussions are happening in all boardrooms. Do you think that these wouldn't happen the moment you got rid of one of the main two companies? Who's there to compete against them to stop it? Who's there to stop them from charging £100, £150 a game? You wouldn't have a choice. There's no competition. There's no alternative to go and say, right, I'm not paying £150 there. I'll pay £70 there. You lose competition. You don't want that. That is really, really bad. So this whole notion that Microsoft is going third party, I just don't buy it. Right? I don't buy it. I think what they're doing is talking about games that are already on multiple platforms like ESO, Call of Duty, Diablo, Overwatch, Minecraft, and so forth. But what they're doing here is being extremely vague. And what we need, if they're going to come out, if Tim Schuer's going to come out and make these statements, Phil Spencer and Tim just need to come out and say, right, this is what we're talking about. This is what we mean. But whether they will or not is another matter. I don't know. I've rambled long enough. This is what I've been thinking about. We can discuss this more on the Chaos Lounge tonight, but that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Let's have that discussion. Like I said, I think Microsoft going third party is a really bad idea. I think Microsoft going third party is, forget about the bad idea. I just can't see it happening. Not anytime soon. In 15 years, I can see both Sony and Microsoft transition into cloud. Sony already have started the work. You can see it through their premium service. They've already started, and that's only going to improve and elaborate and get bigger as time goes on. So it's just baby steps for now. But it's going to happen. Even Nintendo will eventually follow suit. But at the end of the day, I think this whole notion that people are begging for Microsoft to go out of business, 2027, Microsoft is going third party. Nah, it's all bogus. But Phil does need to come out at this point and just make a statement. It's a simple statement, just to clarify and put people's minds at ease. Because the more that he doesn't, the more people are going to talk about it, the more this is going to fester, the more the media is going to eat this up, the more the media is going to try and champion this as Microsoft getting out of the business. And this also doesn't give confidence to your third-party publishers. That's where the danger is. You let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion. Again, like I said, I'm always happy to have these difficult conversations. We had it last time. I misspoke a few things, which is why I didn't release that video. But I think I got my point across better now. And with the news that's out now, I think that's better. But come on. Which publisher out there, which game company, which company at all would you say is willing to just throw away $4 billion a year? If you could show me one, I'd be grateful. Because at that point, I would send them an email myself and ask just for $1 million from that $4 billion that they're throwing away so I could take it and make a better life for myself. Right, that's it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you have enjoyed the content. Don't forget you can support me further through my Patreon, YouTube membership, and, of course, super thanks. Thank you so much, and I'll see you tonight. Remain legend.